So first let's name and describe the parts used in the motors project. So let's start across here. There's our little electric motor, which is at the heart of the whole thing. Now this has already got a hub attached to it, and the hub is just made from a glue stick. So that's already attached, and as the motor spindle rotates, it carries the hub with it, and then the hub can be used to attach to other things in various projects. In order to supply electricity to the motor, we need some electrical wires. These have already been part cut through. The insulation has been part cut through so that the plastic ends of the insulation have to be removed, and then the strands of wire twisted so that they all are brought together and made stronger. That's explained a lot in more detail later. We've got 4 little electrician's sleeves. These are insulating sleeves, and they're fabulous for sealing up any bare wires and attaching our little metal paper fasteners to the ends of the wires, which are become the electrical connections to the battery later on. So that's those wires. Now there's another set of wires as well, and 2 paper fasteners, and that's to make a very simple on-off switch using card. So that assembly there, all those parts joined together to allow us to assemble a very simple switch, and this, the motor itself, powered by the battery. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 thin wheels and 1 thicker wheel, and that can be used as a wheel, but it's very useful also as a type of pulley. Now it doesn't have a groove in it, but an elastic band can be attached to it so that it behaves like a pulley driven by the electric motor. So thick wheel, 4 thin wheels. The holes in the centre are for bearings. So bearings fit on axles, and then it allows the wheel to rotate freely on the axle with far less friction, so the bearings fit into the centres of the wheels, and that's shown later. So there are 4 bearings for the thin wheels, and then a longer bearing for the thick wheel. Axles are required for the wheels, so the axles themselves have little clips which fit at the end, and those are for holding on the wheels so that they don't fall off. It's useful to have a pencil sharpener, because in order to make the clips fit on the end, so they need to be a tight fit, we shave a tiny little bit off the end of each axle, and then the axle clips can push on. Okay, so a pencil sharpener needed later on. Another elastic band, explain that later. And then the fundamental block that's used to hold everything together. So the block itself has a variety of different holes in it. That central hole in red, that central red hole there, that's used for the electric motor, so that can fit inside there. It's got to be a tight fit so it's supported firmly, but there's another hole which I've circled in red there so that the motor can fit in that position. So we've got options as to whereabouts the motor fits, and a lot of it depends on what you intend to do in your project. Now the green circle that I've highlighted there, that's the battery compartment. So we'll fit that later, no need to do that straight away. Now there are additional things. Look, we've got the battery hole that goes all the way through, but then that hole there, well, that's simply to allow the electrical wires to come out through and then join to the battery more conveniently. So that's just an access hole, if you like, for the electrical wires. Now on this side, what I've done is mark the positions of some holes which are going to be drilled, and they're going to be drilled so that the axles can fit in through as required for different projects. And you may wish to put holes in other places as well, but only when you've decided for definite what it is you're going to make. So what I've done there, I've marked the holes, and then I've used this, which is a pointed dowel drill, and it's simply used to twist through and form the hole in the form ready for the axle.
and that's explained in much more detail later. So we've got to be very careful about that, otherwise the holes end up being made in the wrong place. And if you've got to keep repositioning them, the block turns like a pin cushion, and we don't want that to happen. So that's a very quick overview of all of the parts that we need for this project. Other parts can be added, but we'll talk about those later.